Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Off Field with your host Liv Moods, joined by Nate Jackson and Brandon Krisztal. Brandon's on the end holding a basketball, not sure why. This is off field, not off court.
This is a full size basketball that I'm palming. Like,
of course.
like Shaq.
And I do have to preface with, because I think if I don't, Nate's feelings might be upset. We did just take some promo shots for the show that you guys will see very soon. If it does appear like Nate is no longer taller than us, we had a prop or two to stand on. Nate was feeling a little upset that we took away the one thing Nate's got in this room without any doubt is his height.
Yeah.
And
you are taller than us.
We stripped him of that when we took our photos. So just want you guys to know, as you can see, he is much taller than both BK and I.
It is worth noting, neither of us said, hey, should we get on a box? It was suggested by our colleagues that are like, oh, this
BK
looks
had
weird.
to make sure you knew that. BK's got a Coca-Cola today, no Frappuccino.
Yeah, and I just took this upstairs. Like, this belongs to someone? Like, no, it's yours. Like, all right, great.
So
doesn't Tom Cruise like always stand on those in his movies because he's so damn short?
I think a lot. I think there's probably, if we actually found out how many people stand on.
But I think with Tom Cruise, they cast a bunch of short people around him. Seriously.
We represent
mostly.
Is it just
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is constantly surrounded by Oompa Loompas. So he feels better about
come on,
himself.
guys, let's save the world.
That's actually why Nate does this show with us, is because he checked our height before he agreed to be a co-host, and then he was like, "Oh, they're short. I'll feel big and tall, and I think this could be a good dynamic."
That's why I did it.
Exactly.
That's the main
so
reason.
there you go.
How tall are you, Liv?
5'4".
Yeah, you're average height.
I was gonna say that's a pretty average height for a woman.
Yeah, and BK
5'8".
right, ish.
The shoes on, and I'm wearing shoes today.
5'8".
I knew the ish. It's
Come
around
on.
there. How many times have you lied about your height, BK? Be honest.
I've never said I was taller than 5'8", but even in high school, they listed me at 5'9". I'm like, well, that's dumb, but okay. I guess
But you've
it's a
never
helmet and
like
cleats.
fibbed on a dating app so that you could pull
No,
more
because I didn't
biddies?
want to be like, oh, sorry, I shrunk 2 inches. Like I was really 5'10", 5'11". Like,
Yesterday I was way taller.
yeah. Like, I don't know what happened.
Nate, you don't have to lie about your height.
Nope, 6'3.5", sometimes 6'4". Depends on
How you slept.
feeling. Yeah, how I slept.
Yeah, it depends on how stretched.
Last night when I
stretched out.
got infant feces blasted on me, I probably went down
guys.
about half an inch.
You wish you were a little shorter. That.
Yeah, I just got
guys,
caught in the chest.
Nate's, as you guys know, Nate has a beautiful new baby girl.
Yeah.
And he took the liberty upon himself to be girl dad of the year, stay up with the baby so the wife could catch some Z's, and the baby had other plans. Baby said, "Hey dad, it's been fun.
Yeah.
But I'm going to spray you with my stomach ache."
Yeah,
And that's what she did.
Yeah. She's a sweet little thing. I can't hold it against her, but she,
Can't.
was fussy all night and wasn't pooping all night. For all you parents out there, that an infant, well, she usually would poop every hour. And she didn't poop at all from like 9 until like really 4 a.m. And she was kind of fussy the whole time. And then when finally I was changing her, at that time, waited till the diaper was off and I had the legs up and I was trying, and then poosh, she blasted me.
There it goes.
She blasted me.
You probably get a hazmat suit just for future.
Yeah, I should wear one.
Endeavors.
Yeah, because everybody wants to put a hazmat suit on at 4 a.m.
But I did I thought I tore my hamstring trying to move out of the way. Like it immediately cramped up. I'm like, I got poop everywhere.
Like Shadur last night when he had to fake the
Yeah.
cramp.
Yeah, let's
Shadur.
actually talk about Shadur and Travis Hunter.
Right.
I think it's if you guys have followed me for some time, you know that CU took on TCU last season. TCU lost after coming off of the national championship year. I haven't
National
ever...
championship appearance. Let's make sure semantics are accurate.
That felt like an attack.
Did
Did you feel like that was a little attacky?
Little technical.
You lost to Georgia by 50.
Is that it?
Is there,
don't
there a reason in which it would warrant your very rude reminder of one of the hardest days of my life?
As Dave Logan always says, strive for accuracy. I'm striving for accuracy.
And you know what was inaccurate? That he got 50 of his 53-man roster right. He actually got 49.
Yeah,
So
49.
let's talk about accuracy, shall we? All right.
But
anyway,
back to Shadur and TCU.
nonetheless, I haven't always been the biggest CU Buffs fan, mostly because everyone from my high school went there. I was ready to just get out, spread my wings, and fly. And I know last season, if you guys have followed me for some time, I expressed that I wanted Shadur to be as good as good as he is, I also wanted him to match that in like a humble, quiet way, because I think there's something
think you
so
nailed
dangerous
that.
about that. I think this season we're seeing that a little bit. We're seeing a little more humility out of Shedeur this season. Last year, a little different, flexing the Rolex. Here I am, I'm him, and then loses 8 of the last 9 games of the season. Kind of a tough look, which I was worried about. But we're seeing Shedeur really, truly play some exceptional football. And I know North Dakota State, you could argue, cupcake team. I don't really think
No one's
they
saying
are.
cupcake.
Well, I'm saying in week 1, you typically face what would likely be your weakest opponent or one of,
It
because it's
can
not
be, for
conference
sure.
play, So I don't want to call North Dakota State a cupcake team by any means, but I think this was one of their easier games. So it'll be interesting to see. My point is how the Buffs look against some of the Big 12 competition. They are new to this conference. There's some good competition there. So anyway, we do have a quote from Deion Sanders saying, "They may start believing me when I talk about those two going into top 5 picks in reference to Shedeur and Travis Hunter." My first question for you fellas is, Shedeur Sanders will be playing for who next season?
I already answered it on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Well,
last
let the
night.
people know here.
Who do you think I guessed?
Raiders.
No. Good guess, though. Cardinals.
Huh.
I just think they're going to be pretty terrible.
Kyler. No more Kyler, huh?
I think that, they've paid him enough guaranteed money. It feels like there's a chance that staff, even though some people really like Jonathan Gannon, and he was one in the mix here and was I think almost a lock to get that Texans job for it didn't work out there. It feels like the Cardinals do not have a lot beyond Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler's talent, but beyond that, so I picked Cardinals, but Raiders is also a good choice.
What's your choice, Nate?
Before I give a choice, I think these two players, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, are in very different positions right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the book is still out on Shedeur.
Yeah.
He's got to do a lot. If I'm a GM and I'm going to draft a quarterback in the top 5, Shedeur, I want to see a lot more tape. I want to see how he handles this season. I want to see how he handles adversity. I want to see how he handles some success. Look, last year started off really good against TCU, and then things, they had 3 wins in a row, and then, like you just said, lost 8 of 9. I don't like that if I'm a GM.
No.
And so am I going to mortgage my future as a organization to bring him in? I don't know yet. I want to see him do more. Travis Hunter, on the other hand, just proved that he's like one of the more unique, phenomenal talents that this game has seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that Travis Hunter, that it's not sustainable. What we saw yesterday, the same shit happened last year. It was like, we can play him every play. No, you can't, for a couple reasons. One, he's going to get tired. He's going to get worn down. Number 2, if I'm a opposing coach, what I do going into this week against CU is we are going to fuck this dude up. He's not going to beat us. So I'm sending my goons on this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Every single play he's on defense, I'm sending a receiver out there to hit him. There's no patty cake going on like there was last night. These receivers were not trying to block him. And you saw this as the year went on last year, where teams decided we're going to physically attack Travis Hunter and take him out of the game. And it worked.
Yeah.
He got cheap shotted in that CSU game, borderline cheap shot. He had to come out of the game. That's going to happen as this season goes on. And what I'm worried about is, because football players take these types of players as a challenge, right?
It's like
this guy's the best player we've ever seen. All right, let's see what we can say about that.
Yeah.
So these teams are going to be going after him. Mm-hmm. I think Coach Prime should take him off of defense altogether, let him focus on offense. Because what I saw from him last night on offense was kind of transcendent ball skills from a guy who hasn't even spent that much time playing receiver. If he were to focus on receiver, he could be a very, very special receiver. And I feel like if you let him do everything, he's going to get a severe injury, get worn out, get targeted by players. Protect him. That's what I think.
I think you can even dial it back, because it would be pretty stark to just take him completely off defense with how they're constructed currently.
Right.
But if you just had him just in the red zone, every time they're in the red zone, okay, now Travis is out there for whomever is his
that's not a bad idea
sub,
either.
And then you know that if there's a ball that's going to be in the area of a receiver, it's any kind of one-on-one, or if they're in a zone, he'll have as good a chance to go get the ball as anybody else. But then you're not having him, because it gets so condensed in there, so it's not a lot of extra running. If you not send him in full man across the field, you can kind of limit his usage there and their ability to attack him, because they're not going to throw at him. Right. And you can't even really run. If it's 3rd and goal from the 9, and you want to try to run at Travis Hunter, and then you're going to be kicking field goals. Well, so I think that's one way. But let me ask you this about Shedeur and GMs, because it came out after the game. If you're following on social media, it was like, what is Deion doing? What is Shermer doing on that first down play? Yeah. It turns out Shedeur checks to that, wants to get his guy going since the other two had such a big night, sees cover 0. That's how he defended. He said, look, I learned from it. But the fact that he wouldn't just say, understanding situationally, take a knee, or run. There's going to be no time left instead of 38 seconds. Like the math was done for you there. And there would have been 0 seconds left on the clock when they punted, So I think that it'll be up to GMs, and he'll meet with whomever is going to be in that draft process dozens of times.
Yeah.
And you certainly want that happening in game 1 that you win versus it costing you a game. And it kind of almost did, but it really didn't. But it never even had to get there. You didn't have to punt. You didn't have to deal with the Hail Mary. And so what kind of, X on his resume is that? Or, they're checking boxes. How much is that?
Checking out of a run play in that situation and going for a deep shot down the left.
It's pretty egregious.
Is a red flag. But it also speaks of the freedom that he has from being the it boy on this roster with his dad as the coach, and he could do no wrong. So he feels like I can do what I want. On an NFL team, he's not going to have that sort of freedom, right? And so I think,
is that going to be a roadblock for him? Because I think
it could make him play worse this season, which is going to affect it. You know what I'm saying?
Because I do think oftentimes we see a lot of really, really talented college players that they get to the next level, and there's just that I feel like there's automatically, I can't speak to this, I've never played in the NFL.
Yeah,
you have yet.
Yeah,
correct.
yet. Come on, you're still
correct
young.
Yet. But I think that there's automatically going to be a learning curve between the jump from college to the NFL. I'm just assuming that, and I'm sure you can say, yeah, of course. But it does make you wonder if having some of that freedom, and I think the quarterbacks we've seen in the past that have that freedom because they have that it boy factor, whether it's a Baker Mayfield, a Johnny Manziel, they don't always translate the same way on the professional league. And that's obviously natural. Like, of course, it's a very different situation, but it does make me wonder what Shedeur looks like on the professional level.
Part of it, though, is your ability to take the coaching, right? And we know that Shedeur spent plenty of time with Pat Shurmur, who has a long NFL pedigree. I get that it's certainly up and down his success, and it had never really been sustained. We know he has a relationship with Tom Brady. We don't know beyond I'm sure he has plenty beyond that. But what killed Johnny Manziel was Johnny Manziel. Like,
he got in his own way for sure.
Tim Tebow's jump to the pros was a lack of physical ability to play quarterback.
Yeah.
But often Michael Vick is another good example. Let's take the dogfighting thing completely out of it. When he got back into the league and was around Andy Reid and around Donovan McNabb and realized, man, if I would have put this level of effort into my career early on with that talent, then, the sky may have been the limit. We were just talking about Kyler Murray. That's why there was the whole thing in his new contract about a homework clause, because we know that when Call of Duty comes out, that's what Kyler's focused on, right? Or that was certainly a prevalent rumor.
It was a concern. They made it very clear.
They could chart the metrics for when that came out and his play dropped.
Literally, they find his IP address or
but Shedeur is clearly the most talented quarterback that they don't have another option, and the second most talented player, I could argue. I guess we'll see what Jordan Seaton turns into as a left tackle. And so he has the freedom to make a lot of great plays, and he does something silly at the end. It's just, where does he end up, and how does he take that coaching, and how has he handled coaching when it hasn't been his, and his dad is still around, even if his dad's not doing the nuts and bolts quarterback coaching.
Right.
And I don't know, I can't answer that. You're going to need personnel people that are going to talk to Pat Shurmur as much as they can, anyone else that's been in the inner circle to feel, can we invest a top 5 pick in this guy, top 8 pick?
Well, you mentioned Pat Shurmur, and he is the offensive coordinator there, and he has an NFL pedigree, and that still wasn't enough to make Shedeur do the right thing in that situation, right? So that's a little bit concerning. And he is, talks to Tom Brady and understands that part of it. I will say that, the coaching is very important in the NFL, and there's a reason why Sean Payton likes Bo Nix, and Bo Nix is a very different kind of quarterback than Shedeur. Mm-hmm. You saw the Oregon team play CU last year, and it was an ass whooping. And those two quarterbacks look very different as well. Yep. Bo Nix is on time. Everything's very quick, precise, and technical. Shedeur relies on his athleticism, makes a lot of stuff happen out of the pocket.
Very flashy and fun to watch, but maybe
reminds me of another
practical.
quarterback that played here pretty recently.
Yeah, exactly. Russell. He's a very Russell Wilson-ish playing style, making stuff happen back there. But guess what? In the NFL, it's not as easy to play that style. Mm-hmm. The defenders close on you faster. The pocket closes faster. The windows close faster out there. You run around and think you're making some.
The best.
You run around for 5 seconds and think you're throwing some dime. It gets picked off because these guys close on these balls very fast. And so your playing style is going to have to get altered a bit.
Yeah.
But he's very talented. He makes some plays that are like, wow, that was some some impressive throws. But he's also like got to just lead his team to victory.
Yeah.
Week in and week out. This is a great start because they got the win.
It is.
And they got to keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Okay, well, moving on to the NFL. We've got the Broncos. Actually, Nate and I were texting when I didn't think that BK was going to be able to join the show today. And he did. A little surprise visit from BK. We love it. The Broncos broke ground on a new practice facility yesterday. And Greg Penner discussed the possibility of a new stadium. Gentlemen, what are our thoughts? I know at one point when the Broncos were talking about the potential of a new stadium, they were talking about potentially having it all the way out near DIA, which to me is like the most
a lot of people keep
impractical thing. I don't that area.
It's unappealing.
It's
for
so
a number
unappealing
of
because let
reasons.
me tell you something. When I have friends that come and visit me in Colorado and they land at DIA,
You're
they're like,
what the fuck is
where
this?
the hell do you live? Like, this
Yeah.
is the creepy, because it really is very desolate.
Well,
it's
as they start to
creepy,
fill in more houses, and they certainly have,
and they have a lot.
but
Yes.
over time, you'll realize, oh, that's just where the airport is.
Right.
And maybe it's because of where I grew up in North Dallas and knowing where DFW is, which is a huge airport.
Yeah.
It always took me 45 minutes to get to the airport.
Yeah.
That's just what it was. Now, I get that Stapleton Airport was 8 minutes from downtown. So when you're used to that, but if you live in Northeast Chicago suburbs, getting even to O'Hare takes a while, right? We could go city to city. And
Airports are pretty.
it kind of depends.
Hold on.
Except in Buffalo, where in Buffalo, it's like because I had to stay at a hotel when I worked at Bills game one time. The neighborhood right next to the airport's fine. And the neighborhood out actually by the airport's not bad as they're building.
San Jose, where I'm from, it's a nice little airport.
Yeah, for sure. Right. The runway's right there. No, but he's right. It's next
10 minutes from my house.
It's next to like the
right
most
by downtown.
But
Easy airport?
Santa Clara, their
facility's right there.
Yeah, and it's where the Niners are, Google and Apple and all. I mean, it's big money over there. But in general, that's the complaint. It's fair because you can't erase the 11 miles from the airport to I-70. There's just no way to shorten that. And I understand that there's at least, I haven't seen this proven. People said at one point the Broncos bought land out there. Not that the Penners did, but that the Broncos own some land out there. The one thing that the Penners have, and look, I've talked to plenty of people in that building. I had a one-on-one chat with Greg Penner yesterday. You'll be able to actually hear tonight on Broncos Country tonight after the Rockies game, and with Damani Leach. But I've talked
What's up
to them
with Greg
a lot.
Penner coming into Guerrilla Sports, man?
Working
Sitting
on it.
down with us here on off field.
Working on it.
Get on up here, Greg.
But so I've talked to them. I've talked to them a lot and talked to people
Come on,
behind
Greg.
the scenes.
We'll get some crowns. Drink some caramel.
And caramel frappuccinos.
A new Bronco Stadium is going to happen, but there's no impetus to get it done. They wanted to get the practice facility done. So when they took over 2 years ago, when they were on the road, they either looked at the stadium, the practice facility, or both, and even went and flew to a couple stadium or practice facilities that they weren't even playing. And so there was some fact finding there. And as Greg told me yesterday, we saw a bunch of stuff we liked and even some stuff we didn't like that we wanted to do differently. But they felt it was important first of all, when they bought the team, they bought the land that they were leasing the practice facility. And then they wanted to spend this $175 million. And we'll see when it's done. It won't surprise me if all of a sudden we find out the price tag's over 200 because you just added more bells and whistles. But that was important. They still have, I think by my math, 8 years left on the lease. And they can do a lot of things. They can totally renovate the stadium, put some sort of retractable roof, whatever. They can scrap it, put the stadium there. They could buy land by the airport, or they could also buy land because I've said this to people that are involved. Go buy the land at 470 and 25 where there's a couple office buildings. Knock those down because we know that commercial real estate has been up and down, and build your Broncos park, like Patriot Place or the entertainment district
close
there,
to the practice facility and
where
everything.
we know there's just more money on the south side of town and certainly in some big pockets. But you're right next to the practice facility. You're next to 25 and 70 470 and plenty of side roads. But none of it is like, oh, we're doing this. They have no need to do it anytime soon. But as Damani pointed out, the reason they got the new practice facility to some degree is it's the same reason you buy a new house. You like your 30-year-old house. It's great, but you can afford a new house. So you're going to build and buy a new house. They want to host a Super Bowl and a Final Four and all that, but they don't need to today. Certainly not to make money.
Right.
So they're going to knock down the existing practice building, facility with the locker room and all that?
So this is exactly how it's going to go. And you can see their renderings. They're on denverbroncos.com. And they kind of reposted the story and re-updated it. But basically, the field house isn't changing its physical structure. The team store is going to be something else potentially and that team store is closed now. So don't go down there and try to buy stuff. Just go to the stadium. It's that maybe the media area. And then everything is going to be built onto that parking lot. Mm-hmm. The first thing they're doing is probably today or tomorrow knocking down that tower that isn't even used anymore because they have robotic cameras and then excavating the hill because where
Where
the
are they
hill
gonna
the
is,
fans
practice
sit?
they're going to practice everything. Nothing's changing except for
There's gonna be like,
yeah, all day long, all day long.
Right.
And so
while they're
there-
practicing.
there's a couple.
Great. This construction dude.
There's a
is
couple schools of
driving me
thought, but
fucking
that-
crazy. Hold on, Denver. The whole entirety of Denver is under construction for some reason. Y'all live down south, but everywhere downtown and
No,
like,
Santa Fe
every
and
street
470
is getting torn up. Every what the fuck is going on around
I
here,
don't know.
man?
And I drive a low car. My little cute Mercedes.
Yeah, but if you hit the
doesn't do a-
hydraulics, it'll get up and bounce and all that.
Boom, boom.
I don't know. I have to take my car in, y'all. I hit a curb one time
don't
getting
think
some
you know what I
yogurt
meant.
land, and I think it messed me up because now when I go too
yogurt?
fast, it starts to wiggle.
Oh,
I think my alignment's off. I went to go get yogurt land late.
I think meant
one
the
night.
yogurt messed you up. You meant it messed the car up.
No. Yeah,
trip
the
to yogurt.
yogurt. I was so excited to get the yogurt in hand, in mouth that I
late
just
night yogurt run.
pretended the curb wasn't there and went ahead and bodied it with my car. And
Did
my
your
car
daughter have
is
yogurt last night? Is
now
that what
injured.
the culprit was?
Maybe.
Milk. She's just on a strictly milk diet.
But look, the Broncos got new uniforms. That was kind of one of the loudest things that Damani Leach heard, that the Penners heard when they bought the team. Hey, what's up with new uniforms? We haven't gotten new uniforms in 30 years. Not that we need them.
Right.
Or, at that point, whatever, 25, 28 years. But they got them. No one was clamoring for a new practice facility. This is them saying, we want to make everything state of the art. It's the phrase that Greg gives his wife, Carrie, credit for. We want to be the first to play for, first to work for, first to cheer for, in whatever that order is.
What do you mean?
Or the
first
best to play for, best to work for,
Okay.
best to cheer for, best organization. Yeah, not first. The best to play for, best to work for, best to cheer for.
It's because BK doesn't have his phone with him today.
No,
he
Yeah.
but
couldn't
so
fact
on.
check.
I wouldn't
He's
look that
looking.
up. I wouldn't look that up. But they felt the need to do this, and the same reason.
Well, that's
You-
the bowling standard too, right?
Yes and
To
no,
an
but
extent. They just
for-
didn't have the cash.
They didn't have the cash, right? It was for sure. Pat Bowlen, that was his saying. We want to be first at everything. That's
Yeah.
what he said. We want to be first in everything, and they did as much as they could, but Pat Bowlen just didn't have the cash. And the one thing that the Walton Penner Family Ownership Group has is the most cash,
Mhm.
and so
by far.
yeah, and it's not even close. So
I think they're if you combine the wealth of all the other owners and then multiply it by 4, that's not even as much as the Walton Penners.
I think
are
when you
worth.
start multiplying it is because
No, they're worth like 70 billion.
right, but like Dave Tepper is worth 20 billion now, and Stan Kroenke's worth 12 billion, and his wife's worth 12 billion.
Oh,
but
there-
either way.
there goes my
Yeah,
equation. there.
Regardless.
Well, you didn't pull out your phone and check it.
No.
Shame on you.
but they want to build a new stadium for the same reason you buy a new house, not because they need to, but because there's these new houses available. We have enough money, we can do
Of
that.
course.
And hosting a Super Bowl is fun and cool and
Yeah.
a headache for the city, but also awesome. It can be. And hosting Final Fours and every single tour that comes through that isn't just going to Vegas and LA and might skip Denver because they don't want to deal with weather.
I wonder if we host a Super Bowl if they would ask me to perform at halftime.
they might.
Mm.
Are you going to become a much more accomplished singer?
Wow.
What's your level of accomplishment as a singer to this point?
Just so you know, BK, when I was a young girl, I was the singing voice of a cartoon turtle in a TV show.
Is that
What-
right?
Which
I
TV show?
was.
What was the name
Called
of the
Cabby's
turtle?
Tree. I don't remember the name of the turtle.
Cappy's Tree?
Not why'd you add a P? I said Cabby.
Cabby's Tree.
Cabby's Tree.
Can I get that on Disney Plus or Netflix?
I'll try to find it for
Do you remember any of the songs?
No, but I got the
She
part.
definitely does.
turtle on Cabby's tree.
No, I got the part because I sang the Annie song, The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow.
Okay.
The sun will come out.
Right. One of us has actually put out an
Yeah.
album, and it's not me and it's
Well,
not you.
he's never asked for me to demo what I have, what I can do with these vocal
Well,
cords.
I'm asking you now.
Well, unfortunately, I haven't stretched them out.
I would love to see you perform at halftime, Liv. I'm not going to bank on it.
Okay.
We should do a song,
Well-
like an intro song for the show, where we all have a vocal.
What would his
part.
vocal be? Something super funny.
I would do the talking at the beginning of the
What would
song.
what would you say?
Caramel.
Regulators, something along those lines. Mount up. That's it. And that's not even singing. That's
Caramel.
Literally-
Regulators. There you go.
Crown.
but that's
Also, mount
literally a line from the movie Young Guns that they
Oh,
just sampled.
Quit bringing up old people movies.
No,
to me.
Young Guns is
Young Guns
incredible.
far from an old people movie.
When
No,
was
it is
really-
sort of.
When was it out?
88.
80s, 90s.
That's old as hell, BK.
It's not that
It's
old.
really not that old.
You're just young as hell.
It's not in black
Well-
and white. It was in color.
Yeah.
Sounds like a movie.
Emilio
from when the
Emilio
dinosaurs roamed
Estevez,
the
Kiefer
earth.
Sutherland.
Yeah.
Means
Man,
nothing to me.
Lou
Christian
Diamond
Slater
Phillips.
was in Young Guns too.
Yeah,
Young Guns 2 is really good too.
it is.
Yeah. No, this is great. Like, Western.
John Bon Jovi had a seminal song.
Blaze of Glory or no?
He had Blaze of Glory, and I think Wanted Dead or Alive was on the soundtrack, but was also on Slippery When Wet.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I
Go
invited
home.
my grandpas to the show today.
No, your
Anyway.
grandpa would be talking about like
Some John Wayne westerns. We're talking about westerns from the 80s, late 80s, where they didn't make a lot of them. This was it.
Have you ever seen Die Hard?
Any
Have you
of
ever
the five
heard
of
of
them?
Die Hard? Oh my gosh, man.
We need to have a weekend movie marathon with Liv.
What's your favorite movie?
If you say
She's
Home
the
Alone,
Man.
oh, she's the man. The remake.
Stop saying that every time I bring something up. There are not all these different remakes. That's the OG She's the Man with Channing Tatum, Amanda Bynes.
That's your favorite movie?
It's one of them.
Wow.
I also love Despicable Me.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I love the Minions.
But you had little siblings and
No,
when the first Despicable Me came out, she was of age that she was excited to go to the movies to see it in elementary school.
Duh.
Wow.
That's not related to her siblings.
And that becomes your favorite movie.
Mhm.
Wow.
So good.
See, when I was in elementary school, my older brother and cousin were taking me to Terminator 2, and it was that kind of stuff.
That's another thing.
Have you seen Terminator 2?
No, but I
newest one.
did. It was between me and one other person. I got the final callback, got to fly to New Mexico, had to sign an NDA, got the script in advance for Terminator 4: The Last Salvation for the lead role as Star.
You were going to be in that?
I didn't get the part, but
Had
it
you-
was
so
between
you've
me
done
and one
some-
other person.
So
She
you've done
got
some
it.
acting?
Yes, I used to be a
cool.
triple threat.
Used to be.
Dance, singing, acting.
Come on.
Now,
Maybe you should perform
podcast
it.
extraordinaire.
We just have to turn this show into something that can account for all three of those threats.
Yeah, no, I used to act. I did.
Variety
I really
show of
did. I
sorts.
really did it all. I did a little bit of just very basic modeling stuff. But yeah, singing, acting, dancing was like my wheelhouse.
Okay.
And now I only sing in the privacy of my own car.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't like to not be really great at everything I do.
And
I haven't done it in a while. Yeah. So anyway, I'll sing for you guys maybe soon. If the Broncos win the Super Bowl, I will sing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you sing
So
"We Are
you're-
the Champions"? The last song about winning, other than
Yes, I
Ludacris?
will.
All I do is
See,
win.
my
We've
era-
had 2 songs about winning in 50 years.
Well, we can't do that anymore because it offends people who aren't winning.
Oh my gosh.
The
Don't you hate
losers
that?
get upset.
Screw the losers.
Screw the
Stay
losers.
sad, losers.
Isn't
Kidding.
that interesting though? That on say a Victory Monday, you can play "All I Do Is Win" or "We Are the Champions" when you win, and that's it. And that "We Are the Champions" by Queen came out early 70s, right? Maybe we'll call it even mid 70s at the latest.
Yeah.
And even that "All I Do Is Win" Ludacris song's got to be 20 years old now.
It's such a bop.
A
Goes
bop?
hard. Bop.
That's a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Means good. It's all positive. Okay. The 53-man roster is set. Okay. The Broncos enter the 2024 season with a pretty young roster, which we knew was going to happen. 39 players with 5 or fewer years of NFL experience. Only 4 players 30 years old or older, including the kicker and the punter. The Broncos have a single starter on offense in left tackle Garrett Bowles. Single starter on defense, linebacker Alex Singleton, who is over 30 years old.
Wow.
Bowles is the oldest on the roster at 32.
Wow.
This is definitely some change because last season they had the 9th oldest roster.
Is that right?
And after cutdowns, in 2023, they had the 9th oldest roster. And now the Broncos have the 10th youngest roster. So overall, how are we feeling? I know, BK, you were 4 shy of being Mr. Perfect over there.
I don't even know what a good number is on that.
And we know
50 would have been good.
Yeah.
We know we lost one of our very own to the Kansas City Chiefs. We haven't talked about that yet on this show.
Samaje Perine.
Let me ask you
Which
this.
is, what are you going to ask me, BK? I'm scared.
Because I asked Sean Payton when he was kind of going through everything. He did a pretty long press conference on Wednesday. I said, I know, because he'd kind of talked about Tim Patrick and pulling for guys. And I said, you said you're pulling for your guys, but does it sting a little more when they sign into division like Samaje Perine did with the Chiefs? And he's like, they all sting. And he listed Alex Anzalone, who went to the Lions, Trey Hendrickson, who we know went to the Bengals, and a couple more. Curiously, he didn't list Russell Wilson.
He doesn't want to say his name, bro. Russell,
he doesn't care.
Yeah,
at all.
But
No.
Samaje Perine, I think it's
But
bad.
Russ is QB1 in Seattle,
In Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh. Whoa.
I know this. There's people in that building that really hope he holds the job at least till week 2 because they want it to play
BK,
against
how many
him.
people in this world do you know?
I don't know.
Who's the coolest contact in your phone?
I don't know.
Besides me.
Other than you and Nate.
How many names do you have in your phone?
3,500 or so.
Is that all?
I don't know. I haven't checked, but that sounds
But
about
who's
right.
the coolest person? Come on.
That I have their number that would actually get back to me because it's a different game.
Just that you have the number.
Yeah, you just have their number.
I mean, I have like Jerry Seinfeld's number. But
how did that
That's the
go?
most
Hey, can I get your
random-
number, Jerry? He's like,
no, when you work at certain
4,
places,
2,
you
8.
work at certain places and you work with people and they'll be like, yeah,
You
give
learn
it a
something
shot.
new about BK every single day.
No, without question, the answer is probably Charles Barkley, but that's
Do you ever just text him and say like "yo" in the wee hours of the night?
no, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I?
Do you
just
ever
say
send him a
yo?
"you up" text?
I don't. I don't.
BK sending "you up" text is
I try not to
Beautiful
send those
work.
texts to really anyone. But anyway, we're getting back to Sean Payton and these players leaving and Samaje Perine. I think bad news for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Nice compliment to Pacheco. And on third down, I think with all the creative stuff that they do and the freelance stuff that Patrick Mahomes will do from time to time, Samaje Perine, just like he was for Russ, is going to be a welcomed addition for Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people thought he'd go back to the Bengals. I did sit here and say I thought Tim Patrick would maybe end up in Detroit, and look at that.
make sure, guys, if there's ever a time that BK predicts something correctly, please give him a shout on Twitter. I think he just needs to hear it that like
The ball doesn't spike itself.
That's true. Whatever the fuck that means.
literally.
No, but with Tim Patrick going to Detroit, he's on the practice squad right now, right? He's not on the active roster.
Yeah.
So it's not like they assign him to an active roster spot right away. They're going to have to see what he does. Yes, the idea is that he's going to pick up the offense and then be able to be a great addition to that room, which is kind of receiver thin.
Khalif Raymond, I think, is their third receiver.
Right. But at the same time, Tim Patrick, to me, wasn't like this practice killer during training camp. He was everyone around here knew what he can do. He had a good performance in the preseason game, but he's still going to have to prove to them that he can do it there. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes great for him. But I think for Sean Payton, like when you coach people for 4 or 5 months, you brought them here for a reason. They're here because you like them. Like they didn't just stumble onto this team. Like he allowed everyone to be here who was here. So it bodes well, or it reflects well on him when they go somewhere else and have success. It means that, yeah, you were right about them to even have him around. And the fact that you cut him must mean that the guys you have are even better than this guy.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine didn't do anything in training camp that was that impressive. He looked a step slower than these younger guys, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to go out to Kansas City and all of a sudden crush it. I mean, it was almost like Melvin Gordon when he went to Kansas City and ended up just being a practice squad player.
Yeah.
Although because of what we saw Samaje do last year on the field, if he's a step slower, then they'll know right away, and we won't see him. He probably won't even finish the season there. But he'll pick up the blitz as well as any veteran back will, and he does catch the ball well on third down and can get. It feels like he can convert.
Yeah,
can convert drives and keep the clock or keep the drive alive. But he also does put the ball on the carpet. So Melvin Gordon a little bit had a couple times last year that hurt the Broncos. But yeah, I don't think he's coming in and unseating Pacheco. But I do think he's going to cut into CEH's playing time at least early.
Yeah.
Unless they just were like, you know what, there's a reason he was available. But when Jalen Virgil ends up with the Bills, I think Buffalo claimed him. And we know that they're obviously getting younger at the receiver, but they get way faster with that dude. And a couple other players, I'm all memorized, but it does say, yeah, we did build a good enough roster that even the guys that we have let go, teams are claiming and or trying to pay them to come there, like a Tim Patrick or a Samaje Perine.
Question for you guys about Tim Patrick being let go. They talked at length about what a good locker room guy he is and how important he is to the team and stuff like that. Why let him go then? Like, why don't you value the locker room kind of contribution that he has enough to keep him around if you also think he's still playing well?
Because they only kept 5 receivers, right?
Yeah.
I will tell you, I'm going to be honest. This is like maybe like dipping my toes into like the conspiracy theory world because I don't know Sean Payton personally. I don't know how he runs his team. I've never been close enough to see that. There is a part of me that just feels like, again, I just named, we've got very few remaining players from the losing era of the Denver Broncos. And I think that we already knew entering the season that Tim Patrick was going to kind of be a gamble because we haven't seen him healthy. And he did have a great moment in preseason. And yes, he did matter. He was the heart and soul of the locker room in so many ways. But I think that Sean Payton is a relatively stubborn man, which is not a negative thing. I just think he knows what he wants. He's trying to reestablish a culture. And I think that if Tim Patrick weren't a gamble, in any capacity, whether it be from like the injury perspective or the fact that we just haven't seen much of him as of late, he may have kept him. But I think you add the gamble piece plus the fact that he came from the losing era of the Broncos. I think it was just, I don't know. Part of me just thinks that Sean isn't a full rebrand, and Tim Patrick was kind of an easy fall guy for that because we haven't seen him much.
Diana Rossini reported that they offered a third for Cortland Sutton in San Francisco as part of the package to get Brandon Ayuk to
I think I
to
saw
the
that
Steelers.
on Twitter.
And Diana is usually right about stuff like that. No one's pushed back, or we haven't seen other insiders say, "Oh, that wasn't right." And sometimes teams will do that when it's not, necessarily the correct information. So they like Cortland Sutton enough, who's been here as long as Tim Patrick, more or less, and falls in that same category, but had 10 touchdowns last year, hasn't been hurt in a while. And I think the injury part is a big concern because let's just look at the history of sports. How many times, especially in football, do players miss 2 full seasons, not part of a season and then come back? 2 full seasons he has not been on the field and then had any success. So I think that factored in. And then, Nate, you were out of practice. I was out of practice. He wasn't, similarly said Samaje Perine looked a step slow. He didn't necessarily look a step slow, but he didn't wow you.
No.
He had a great catch on third down to convert. I guess 2 really good catches. He had the one against the Colts, really good catch on third down against the Packers. You're like, that's what Tim Patrick does, and then touchdown. But he wasn't lighting like Devon Bailey was lighting up.
That's what I was going to say. The guy who did wow you was the guy wearing Tim Patrick's old number, 81, who had the best camp probably out of anybody out there, right?
Certainly.
Yeah, we got a comment right here that just says TP was in comp with Bailey and he lost.
Yeah, and that happens. It's something, I don't know what's going on at Utah, but Tim Patrick's a Utah guy, Bailey, Utah guy. The guy that had the best camp, I think, on the other side of the ball was Jonah Ellis, and Utah guy. So something's going on there with Kyle Whittingham and the Utes.
See, the only thing I know about Utah is I seen 2 guys walk into my bar, and I said, "Hey, man, you short and you tall."
That's the only thing he knows about.
That's the only thing I know about Utah.
But
cue the dad jokes from the 2 dads in the room.
Hey, speaking of dad jokes, I got one here.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Did you guys hear that the Men's Warehouse guy moved to Colorado?
George Zimmer?
Yeah, he's got ties here. Thanks, man. I wrote that one.
Good.
Yeah.
You wrote that? That's an original.
I'm still mad at
that's original. So's the Utah
Men's
one.
Warehouse.
No, can't be.
Oh, it is.
You came up with that?
I write lots of jokes. I've done some stand-up. I've done some stand-up comedy.
Why don't you give us a list of things you haven't done? I feel like it's shorter at this point.
Skydived, haven't skydiving before.
Skydove?
You're not a big sky dover?
No, I'm not
You think
jumping
you're
out
ever
of a
going to
fucking
be a
plane.
sky dover?
No, I'm not like big extreme sport guy, like thrill seeking. Like I need a bungee jump or skydive or do something that I could die
Instead,
if the fucking thing breaks.
Instead, I'm just going to rip my hamstring clean off the bone like a chicken wing.
That's right.
But that was
doing something I love.
Yeah, but that's playing football or changing his daughter's diaper. Like,
exactly.
2 things he loves.
Very different things.
But still, hamstring injuries abound. But the thing with Tim Patrick is, if again, they only kept 5, so they didn't.
Right.
They put all these guys on practice squad. Lil Jordan Humphrey, David Sills, I believe. Obviously, Michael Bandy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they kept 5, so we knew they were keeping Cortland Sutton. Right? They reworked the deal. He was their frontline guy, and has looked like probably Bo Nick's favorite target consistently.
Mm-hmm.
They like Josh Reynolds. I get that he hasn't practiced much of late, but they gave him $7 million over 2 years. Not a lot of money, but they like Reynolds, and he hasn't been hurt. And even though people are critical of Marvin Mims, when they threw him the ball last year, he got behind people and did something with it. And then Troy Franklin, they're just not ready to move on from, and he would have gotten claimed immediately. And then Bailey had the best camp, and those were the 5. So, and I know this, talking to some people very, very much in the know. Nobody had Tim Patrick better than the 5th receiver in that room. And most of them had him 6, 7, 8. And when you only keep 5, and if you're asking the people that you're polling in the building, the coaches, the scouts, and they've all got him at highest 5 and a lot 6, 7, or 8, and you're not keeping 6, 7, or 8, then it's a pretty straightforward thing. And you factor in the knee injury and the
I mean,
Achilles.
it's clear Sean Payton was looking at who's shown up it can't just be about you being the heart and the soul of the locker room as much as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
We talked and you said those feel good moments, you hold on to them, and it's true. And you also hold on to who these athletes are as humans. Remember, I said I struggle with separating human from athlete. It's been a problem for me for a long time. So I think I was hoping that would be what kept him, knowing that if anything was going to keep him, it was going to be that. But it's very clear Sean Payton is trying to establish a talented roster. He's investing in younger guys, like I just mentioned. So it makes sense. It does just because it makes sense doesn't mean it doesn't stink.
You said they're the 10th youngest. Is the youngest? I saw where the Rams have 15 rookies on their roster.
Wow.
I don't know who I'm going to say who is the.
But they
I
also
want to say this
Stafford.
though. I want to say this about Sean Payton and what he's doing assembling this team. He and I've heard him say this before. Trust your eyes to the coaches when they're watching practice. And you just mentioned, look, for people in the know who watched this training camp, Devon Vele was clearly better. And if you have to trust your eyes based on who's playing better out there in front of you every day. Don't go by based on what they did 3 years ago to win over the crowd against Dallas, and like go with what you see now every day. And Devon Vele was making plays every day. So these guys, we see it out there as fans, but they go in and watch the film. They know exactly what they're trying to accomplish on every play. They're dissecting every play, like the minutia with which you dissect every single practice play. And everyone's in the room doing this together. And so when Tim Patrick is having a subpar day, but Devon Vele keeps showing up, or Tim Patrick has to sit out this day because his Achilles is a little sore, because he had some of those days, right?
Yeah.
So, and these young guys just keep coming and keep making plays. And Marcus Colston was a guy in New Orleans who
That's
did
what
that.
you talked about. Dante Stallworth versus Marcus Colston, a first-round pick versus a 7th-round pick.
Right. And so you gotta trust your gut on who's playing better right now and put them on the field and let them go.
Rams are the second youngest team.
Okay.
The youngest
'Cause
right
of
now is the
Stafford.
Packers.
Packers
at 1, Rams at 2, Bucks at 3, Chiefs at 4, and
Wow.
Jags at 5.
The
least
Chiefs are the youngest, and they're the best. Go figure.
The
They
least
draft very
surprising
well.
Young people are cooler and
Yeah, and they've never seen Die Hard, or
and-
they've never heard of cool movies.
and they don't watch creepy movies and
Creepy movies.
and they have more fun.
They don't have more.
Sure,
Yeah,
that's not true.
We do.
They don't have more fun.
Okay,
They just
well,
recover faster.
let's try to have some fun right here on the show to wrap things up. We've got 2 North divisions.
Okay.
AFC North, NFC North. We are going to try to agree and rank them
How many
together.
divisions do we have left?
A lot.
Because the
that
season's going to
is-
start, and then
you
we're going
know
to be
what?
ranking them with
You
their
know
actual
what,
record.
BK, I have it all planned out. Don't you worry.
Okay.
We have the 2
By
Norths
Thanksgiving,
today.
we will have
Yeah,
this done.
we have the 2 Norths today, and then we'll do South, East, and West of the NFC.
Okay.
Next time.
Great.
So we'll be good. We'll be caught up. AFC North, we've got the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers. This is kind of a tough one because I
That's the
think
toughest division in football.
you could make a case for the
It is.
Bengals.
It's not going to be this year.
I don't think so either. I think
Steelers are going to be.
They made the
Bengals
playoffs
are
with
going to
Kenny
be.
Pickett.
Bengals are going to be. Browns are going to be.
Oh, what was that?
And the Ravens are going to be the best team.
This is where Joe Burrow, he's going to bounce back.
No, he's not. This is where the
Jamar
Joe
Chase
Burrow
thing is
bubble bursts.
the Jamar Chase thing is
Burst.
concerning. The Jamar Chase thing is concerning. But
Definitely. What's going on there?
you can't. The Ravens defense is too good, and Lamar Jackson coming off another MVP year, and they add Derrick Henry. We all agree we're going to pick the Ravens. Well, I guess I don't know who you have first. You have the Ravens winning it?
I don't agree with Nate in the sense that I think the Bengals are going to be.
I don't either. I think the
But
Browns. I like the Browns roster, and Deshaun Watson's healthy.
I think
I'll
the Browns
say-
could be okay.
I think
They added Jerry
exactly
Jeudy.
how I said it. I honestly think the way I read it is the way that I would rank it, which is Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers.
Right, but you know what the Steelers do? Never finish below 500 with Mike Tomlin as a coach and make the playoffs.
But they've
Right, so
never,
it's
but
still
they've
been-
never been graced by the presence of Russell Wilson before, and he managed to have 2 back-to-back losing seasons here with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, but one of those years was with Nathaniel Hackett, which
Yeah.
yeah, right. Talk about
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm just not convicted enough, but I wouldn't be surprised. The Browns are a playoff team again. The Bengals, if Joe Burrow's healthy and Jamar Chase plays, are
so
a
we're
playoff
so
team.
we're all agreeing Ravens won.
I
Would
think
you
it's a-
put the Bengals or the Browns next?
I'm going to go Browns number
Yeah,
2.
I think I'm with him. Unless Joe Burrow turns into the Joe Burrow that he's been when healthy.
Yeah. Well,
So
who
you
threw
guys-
like
so
42
you-
touchdowns in 5
So you
games
guys have
last
the
year.
Brown.
Those
You
are
guys have
projections.
Deshaun Watson over Joe Burrow.
Well, Deshaun Watson needs to be healthy too, and the one
Yeah.
thing he hasn't been in the last few years is healthy
Okay,
at
but
all.
okay.
I don't.
But let's say
I don't-
both of them are healthy the whole
Then I have
season.
Joe, then I
you
like Joe
still-
Burrow. That's what I just said.
But the fate of a team does not rest on like the quarterback all the time. Like
It
Well,
helps.
the
Forgive
roster.
me if I have jaded
the
eyesight
Cleveland
because
Browns
of
defense
being-
is really good, and they're better than Bengals
Joe
defense.
Flacco played really well. PJ Walker played for him. DTR last year played, and they even started Jeff Driscoll to not give PJ Walker $500,000 because the Haslam's
Okay,
are
fine.
jerks
He
and-
persuaded me. So Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Steelers.
My pal Shelby
That's
Harris
where I'm
plays
going.
on the Browns too. He says they're going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. Shelby, our very own Shelby Harris.
All right, fine.
We tried to
Ravens,
get him to come by
Browns,
today, but-
Bengals, Steelers. Jeez. Okay.
Okay.
NFC North.
Hmm.
Another interesting one.
Lions.
Bears, Lions.
Lions
what-
and Tigers and Bears.
Oh
Oh my!
Yay.
And Packers.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings.
Mm.
Who's coming out
Well,
on
the
top?
Tigers are a baseball team.
Lions to me. are at
Lions
one.
won.
Lions 1, Packers 2. Bears 3, Vikings 4.
The Vikings are interesting. I think Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach. The Bears also have a lot of now weapons for Caleb Williams. I don't trust their coaching staff at all, and I don't love their defense. It was crazy though when they added Montez Sweat, how much better they played defensively. But they don't have a lot of Pro
Right.
Bowlers all over the place or guy. I mean, they obviously paid Jalen Johnson a bunch of money at corner, but the Packers, they're really young, and Jordan Love is really good. That roster is not good. And the least surprising news I think we saw was that they cut Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt, and I can't remember who they added as their number 2
Quarterbacks?
quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like, these dudes,
Yeah.
they're not good. Maybe one of them, and one of them will stick around.
So would
sure, on
you
the practice
switch
squad.
Bears and Packers?
No, because the Bears need to prove it, and I don't know if Matt Eberflus is a good coach, and
Right.
I'd be willing to say he's not yet.
I do
Caleb
think
Williams
there's-
may be so good, but I don't
You know
think
what I
that
worry
year
about
one.
though? I worry about the very thing that Nate was worried about with Bo, which is that are we putting too much pressure on Caleb Williams?
No,
to, like,
they're putting all the
flip this
pressure-
entire
But
franchise
that's
around.
when you take a guy number 1 who is
Of
being
course,
compared to
I
Patrick
mean, it's
Mahomes,
warranted.
but they're not saying this year they're winning the Super Bowl. They're saying
Well,
we need to see, let this guy do what he
The
does, and if
Bears-
it's not the right mix around him, we need to get the right coaches for him because
the Bears, their line in Vegas being at 8.5 wins in and of itself to me is pressure. Then
yeah, I'd like to.
I
bet
will
the under
tell
on
you,
that.
I just made a social media video. Oh my, did I just my brain just
Are
malfunctioned?
you okay?
I couldn't speak.
on TikTok.
I knew
It
what I
wasn't as
wanted.
bad as you think.
I knew what I wanted to say. I couldn't get it out.
Was it on X?
I just made a video about the fact that the Bears are one of the top 5 most bet overs on their win totals.
Yeah, well, but Chicago's
Wow.
the third biggest
Wow.
city in America.
That's
They
what
have
I'm
a
saying.
huge fan base.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is the number 1 selling jersey in the NFL
Of
right now in
course, and
Fanatics.
again, I get it.
But
He's
number
What's
two's
their
Bo
What's their over under on wins?
8.5.
How the fuck? The
Thank
Broncos are going
you.
to have more wins than the Bears
Thank
this
you.
year.
I don't. The 8.5 thing to me is way too much.
What?
We're
But
putting
the
them
Vikings
too
with
high.
Sam Darnold, like Kevin O'Connell, I think could coach them to some wins, but they also were living on borrowed time 2 years ago. Like those
Yeah.
crazy wins.
I would personally take
And
the
I-
under on 8.5.
I
wins
don't
for
love
Bears.
I don't love all of the Vikings roster, even if I like Kevin O'Connell, I like some of the people in that building. On both sides of the ball, they're older on defense and tough. I mean, they brought Harrison Smith back,
Mm.
and so I think it's a coin flip. I guess you have to put the Packers second. I can't, but
That's
I
how
don't
I
like
feel.
any. This feels like a one playoff division. It feels like the Lions are in, and the other 3 aren't in the playoffs this year.
I like that take. I actually can get behind that.
Yeah, I'm with that. I go Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears.
Why does he always have to be different?
What were you gonna say?
No,
We did-
Bears, Vikings.
We did Bears,
Oh, Bears,
Vikings.
Vikings.
He's always got to just switch one thing in there.
It's okay. I'm not losing sleep on that.
I think the Bears are gonna be bad. They're
Yeah.
gonna be bad. They're gonna be bad.
but I
They're
will
going to
be.
be worse than the Vikings.
Yeah, the
I-
Vikings were a better team last year.
I will
last
be.
couple years.
I will be interested to see.
Fair.
And Eberflus is kind of Eber douche. Like he's like growing this beard out, and he's like thinks he's like
All
all
slick.
Did you see that?
the whole thing on.
He's like my wife thinks the
My
beard's
wife thinks the
cool, and
beard's
I was
cool,
getting
so
like
now-
iron type.
But then you look at it, you're like-
he's like, oh, I'm like, come on,
you're like, he does look. He does look.
He
cooler.
looks cooler,
He
for
does
sure.
look
He looked-
cooler, but
They showed it before. I'm like, wow, you were a dork, but you're still a dork
Total
because you're
dweeb.
hiding it with a beard.
it's like when what's my man?
Now you're just a dweeb with a beard.
Who is
That's
the
all.
who is the Ben McAdoo at with the like? How is this guy an
Yeah.
NFL head coach? There is a. I've heard Colin Cowherd talk about it. There is a
handsome factor.
scouting metric that they use called quarterback face.
Mhm.
That when you look at some quarterbacks, like this guy.
Wait, holy cannoli. Who is?
The sexiest quarterback.
Sam Hartman.
We were at.
He's got cut.
Wait, is it? Is that the one with the long dark hair?
Fastest quarterback at the combine this year.
Okay, is he the one that looks like Prince Charming?
Yes.
We were walking
Sam
around
Hartman.
Radio Row.
Radio
Yeah,
well.
Notre Dame.
Walking around, yes, Radio Row at the Super Bowl. And I was trying to get interviews with people, and FanDuel, who I was there with, was like, hey, go talk to him. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't follow college football unless it's in the Big 12. So I was like, who is he? They're like, oh, that's the Notre Dame quarterback. Swear to you on my life. It was like one of those slow-mos where his hair like flipped. It was like
he does
there
look
was
like
like
a
little
cartoon
sparkles
Prince
around
Charming.
his head. And I wasn't like sitting there going, oh my
Sparkles.
gosh, he's so attractive. But he really does have like a pretty boy. He's like got the model.
He might
looked
have
like
been
Prince
he
Charming.
might
I
have
was
been
like, what
re-signed to a
the-
practice. I'm sure he's re-signed to a practice squad, but whoever he was with cut him on Tuesday. He was, though. He'll have this the rest of his life. He was the fastest quarterback at the combine this year.
Good for him.
Huh.
Shout out Samuel.
He's also the only one that ran. Two things can be true.
Yeah.
And in this case, Sam Hartman,
Good for
faster than
Sam.
Caleb Williams.
Good for Sam.
His 40 time at the combine was faster than Caleb Williams.
Caleb's was 0.
Faster than Bo Nix.
Shout out Sam.
Yeah, faster than Michael Penix.
So
who
we
may
will
never play
have
ever.
we'll
Yeah.
have a bit of a schedule change next week for you guys just because of Labor Day. Obviously
For all who celebrate, have a happy Labor
for
Day.
all who celebrate. And if you guys weren't tuning into this morning, we spoke about Johnny Gaudreau and his brother who unfortunately passed in the NHL world of sports. We don't touch on that obviously on this show because I don't know NHL that way, but we did spend some time speaking on that this morning. So I didn't want you guys to think that we just were ignoring that. We did speak about it quite a bit. I had Jesse on the daily sports update with me, and we talked a lot about that. So in lieu of all of that, I'm just hoping that everybody has not just a happy Labor Day, but also a very safe one. Please don't drink and drive. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but unfortunately I do. Please do not do that. Hug your loved ones extra tight. Say a prayer for the NHL community as well as his family, friends. He was
Hey,
a
call somebody you
husband.
haven't talked to in a while.
There you go. He was
Tell
a
me you love him.
husband. He has young kids. He was a teammate. He was a son. It was his sister's wedding weekend this weekend. It was her wedding is tonight. So just send your wishes out to everybody affected by that and also give your loved ones a nice big squeeze. We'll be back again next week for 2 off-field episodes. We're hoping to figure out another day outside of Labor Day so we can all get out of here and enjoy our long weekend, but we'll find some time. And for sure on our next Friday's episode, Fridays will be moving to 11 a.m. because we have to work around the Broncos practice schedule. So just know Mondays will be 2 p.m. Mountain Time like normal. Fridays will be 11 a.m. Mountain Time, just so we can work around the practice schedule so these fellas can go over there and get some sound for us, talk to players, talk to coaches, what have you. But we will find another time next week that is not Monday. Oh, my God. Monday.
You
Yeah,
see that
my
movie?
bad.
I forget which movie that.
The green face guy?
No,
Yeah, The
no,
Mask.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Jim
where-
Carrey, the mask.
But no, but it's not Mask. It's when he got embodied, like he
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
liar.
No. Bruce Almighty.
Almighty.
Yeah,
Bruce Almighty.
When he
There
can
it
like
is.
make Steve Carell
Yeah.
talk at the news desk.
Yeah.
And he's
Oh,
Yeah, talking
like, that's what he sounded like.
Wow, you should become a triple threat, I think. Because if you guys didn't see it, Nate can breakdance. It is on our Instagram. He can sing. Acting is just next in line. And then you're there. So we'll see you guys next week. Next Friday, just plan on us previewing all things first game for the Denver Broncos, Seattle versus the Broncos. And then we will have a post-game live following that game. The 3 of us are going to collab on that all season long to make sure you guys have our instant reactions, our thoughts, our feedback, all the things. We'll even be dropping some picks. Fellas, I want you to come with some sports betting picks next Friday. You have a week. All right.
Okay.
Maybe an anytime touchdown scorer. We'll talk about the spread. We'll talk about the total, all the things.
Derrick
so just
Henry
be prepared. I
Against the
didn't
Chiefs
ask for it
Thursday.
right now.
Mm.
Listen to this guy.
Mark it down.
Cut his mic, producer.
Derrick Henry's going to find the end zone Thursday against the Chiefs.
I know I already like Javonte Williams as an anytime touchdown scorer, but we'll get into that on Friday next week. Appreciate you guys so much for being here. Like
By
I
Friday
said,
next week, my Derrick Henry pick would I'd be like, hey, I bet Derrick Henry
well,
scored
then
last night.
next episode we have either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll let you give out your.
Mahomes to Kelsey too. I like that one.
Wow,
All right.
that's original.
Never mind. You don't have to tune in next week. BK just gave you all of his
All the
picks.
picks.
No, I'm kidding. Thank you guys for being here. Like I said, have a happy and safe weekend. Hug your loved ones extra tight today, and forever, honestly. And thanks for being here. Go Broncos, and we'll see you next week. Bye.